Alright, g'day everyone, this is Alex here from Jetstar Virtual, and today we're going to do a very special tutorial. This tutorial is going to be how to fly the infamous RNP approach into Queenstown, New Zealand. Now, if you know Queenstown, you'll know that it's surrounded by mountains everywhere, and the approach is quite dangerous. It's got high minimums, and it's very hard to fly into certain conditions, certain temperatures, and can't be done at night. So it's an insane airport, and it's a lot of fun to fly into. And so today I'm going to show you how to do the RNP approach into Queenstown. It's a very fun approach with nice little arcs, but you'll see that as we get closer. At the moment here we're on our way from Auckland on Jetstar flight 297. So we haven't got long to go on this flight, and I'm just going to show you how to do everything in terms of entering the star and the approach to get this approach going. First thing you've got to do, there's a link in the description, got it on the screen now. You need to follow that link to get the NZQN file. The NZQN file is for your Airbus X Extended. By the way, this tutorial only works for the Airbus X Extended as long as you've got the latest version and preferably the latest AirAC. You need this file to conduct the approach, because in the default AirAC, the Queenstown procedures aren't there, the proper Queenstown procedures aren't there. This AirAC will give you the SIDs, the RNP SIDs, and the RNP approaches. So make sure you follow that link to get this, or this won't work. And after you follow that link, make sure if you follow everything in the README, that's fine, and make sure you've got Navigraph on. And this won't just help you with Queenstown, this will help you basically everywhere. If you fly in Australia a lot, it's definitely very good to have Navigraph on, because NavData Pro is just not quite as good. NavData Pro is probably better in Europe, and that's it. Navigraph works better everywhere else. So if you fly in Australia often like me, it's better to have Navigraph on. Alright, sweet. Let's get started. Alright, so let's get into the FMC. So we're about 115 miles from top of descent. What we're going to do is we're going to go into Queenstown arrival, just like you normally would program in an arrival. And here we've got the options for the approaches. We're going to be landing into runway 23 today. Winds at 230 degrees at 2 knots, so we'll be landing into 23. And so the approach you want to select, so you've got heaps of approaches here. You've got VOR05, you've got the RNAV Foxtrot approach, and the RNAV Yankee approaches, and the visual approaches down here. But what we want is the Yankee approach. The Yankee approach is the RNP one. If you don't have this file, you'll notice the Yankee approaches aren't there. Everything else is there except the Yankee approaches. We're going to take the RNAV 23 Yankee approach, which is the RNP approach. And our arrival for today is the Ubdam 1 Bravo arrival. Ubdam 1 Bravo on the Dovot transition, which is from Auckland. And we're just going to insert that. Oh no, I made a mistake. No, okay, so what you've got to make sure you do, yeah, I did this on purpose. What you've always got to make sure you do into Queenstown is where you've got VIAS here, you've got to select that and select the appropriate transition. For us, as you can see on the chart that I'm showing here, the transition you need is the UGPED transition, because from the star, the Dovot transition will lead us to UGPED, and we want the UGPED transition for the approach. So we just select UGPED, insert. Okay, and everything looks like it should. Yep, you just scroll down. What I like to do is I always like to check all the altitude and speed constraints and make sure they're all as they should be. And the best way to do that is make sure you've got constraint mode on for the ND, which is just above the switch here. And we're going to turn plan mode on and decrease this all the way down. Open up the FMC and just go to the start and scroll through. Dovot, pop on, Ladib, Gosbar, yeah, all the constraints look good, and those are the arcs there. If you notice that there are no arcs like that, that means you selected the wrong approach, or you haven't selected the transition, or something's wrong, something's not right. So those are the giveaway that it's working or not. And yeah, all the constraints look good, so this is the approach we're going to be flying today. Alrighty, so next thing to do, go onto the progress page. Now what should happen at the moment, if you look, hold on, I'll just get a better view of this. If you look here, required, at the bottom of this you've got required, accuracy and estimated. Right now, our required, this is our navigational performance. Basically, where it says required 2.1, that means where we are right now, we can't go 2.1 nautical miles left or right of our track. We're not allowed to. As we get closer into Queenstown, the RNP is 0.15. The Airbus X can only take a one digit, so you know 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. The FMC will automatically pop 0.1. It should automatically put 0.1 into the required performance for this approach. I'll just put that back there. So with the required navigational performance, that's what this approach is based on. That's what RNP stands for, required navigational performance. So we need that to be at 0.1 so that the plane knows that it can't go outside 0.1 nautical miles left or right of the track. And what, as you can see here, it says the accuracy is high because 2.1 versus our actual accuracy, which is of 0.18 nautical miles, is obviously a big gap, so we're absolutely fine at the moment. If we were to put in 0.1 now, we couldn't do it. It wouldn't let us because 0.18 is above the 0.1 required accuracy. As we get closer in and we're going slower, the accuracy increases, so that should be fine. However, it's always good to periodically check, because if you've got an accuracy of 0.1 and it goes above the actual accuracy, then the approach, you can't do the approach anymore. So what you have to do is, I'll just bring up the chart here for you guys. As you can see, if I just zoom in, you can see there are different RNP minimas, I suppose. So with what we're doing is 0.1 or 0.15, as you can see here. Our approach minimums will be 1,875 feet. If the RNP should go above 0.1, it would obviously go to 2,003 feet. If it were to go above 0.18 again, it would go to 2,623 feet, and those would be that's obviously the altitude at which we have to decide to continue the approach or not. And obviously we want it to be as low as possible so we can have lower minimums, and yeah, that's the goal essentially. So we shouldn't go above 0.1. I don't see why we would, but so it should all be fine. But that's just something to take note of, and periodically check to make sure we're not going above that minimum. Okay, so I think we're all set up for the approach. If I just look in here, oh yeah, go into your performance page and go next phase, assuming you're in cruise, and it's always good to just pop everything in here. So because we've got the minimums of 0.1 miles, our minimum descent altitude or our barometric altitude is 1,875 feet, so we can pop that in right there. We'll have full flaps for this arrival, and the approach speed will be 134 knots. Transition altitude, I'll just check that for New Zealand. I can never remember what it is. I think it is 11,000. I'm just going to pop in 11,000. And our winds 230 degrees at 2 knots. And our temperature is 25, QNH 1013. Right, so that's all in, and not much more we can do now. Now we just wait until the approach. We're still about 50 miles or so from top of descent, and I'll be back with you guys once we're closer to Queenstown. See ya. So yeah, we're about to hit, we're 4 miles from QN 779, which is when the actual approach starts. So I'll just turn my landing lights on here. Okay, yep, so the arcs will start in 2.5 miles, and what you've just got to do at this point, just make sure the plane is following the arcs. As you get to the once you get to Larav, which is the final approach fix, I'll just show you where Larav is on the FMC. Larav, that's the final approach fix. If you like, sometimes it could be easier. The vertical deviation on the Airbus X is not always perfectly. It doesn't always work perfectly. Sorry. So if you like, the approach path for Queenstown is 3.2 degrees. Once you get to Larav at 3,300 feet, you can just pop in 3.2 degrees. Make sure it follows the vertical deviation, and you'll be fine. But I find it fine. Like sometimes the vertical deviation might glitch up a bit, and then I'll turn on just the manual control. But usually it works pretty well. And for this approach, I plan to use the vertical deviation and show you some cool things you can do. Speed check, flaps 1. Flaps are at 1. Just going to set my auto brakes to low. Ground spoilers armed. Okay, and you can just let the plane do the magic. But obviously, as I said before, what I might do now is I'll check the navigational performance in the progress page. See, it's set it to 0.1 now, and the estimated navigational performance is bang on 0.00. So yeah, no problems there. Accuracy is high. Fantastic. Here we go. We've got hit 760 at 5,100, so we're a bit above it. Okay, so the VDEV has just come on, as you can see on the primary flight display. That basically means that comes on when the approach mode is activated, so that means we're going to start decelerating down to our approach speed. Okay, see, as you can see, the vertical deviation is glitching up a bit, but we'll wait until we get to Larav if we want to disengage it. Alright, speed check, flaps 2, and gear down. Following the vertical deviation fine, and at this point what we're going to do is we're going to arm approach mode, and the arming of the approach mode activates what's known as integrated approach navigation, and so it arms the final approach mode. In real life, this on the primary flight display, it's going to come up with a lateral deviation and vertical deviation. The Airbus X sadly doesn't have the lateral deviation, but it still is a good thing to arm, and you'll see final approach comes up on the screen, and it just basically activates the approach to final. Alright, so we're just past Larav, so we're just going to start slowing down. Speed check, flaps 3. And speed check, flaps 4. Alright, there's the runway there. We're just going to let it fly it down for a few more miles, then we'll take over and fly it manually. Alright, let's fly it manually from here. engine's off. And there we go. So that's how you fly the infamous RNP approach into Queenstown. It's a beautiful approach. I highly recommend it. And so thank you for watching, and go to jetstarvirtual.net if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Jetstar Virtual is a fantastic virtual airline that I've been a part of for a long time. It's been running for 10 years now, and I highly recommend it as a realistic virtual airline in Australia with amazing systems. And so, you know, go to jetstarvirtual.net and take the test and apply, and good luck, and enjoy your travels into and out of Queenstown. And thank you for watching. I'm Alex. Goodbye.